Okay, picture this. Harris County 911 answers a call. And the voice on the line, a 17-year-old boy, he whispers, panicked. I just killed my sister. I thought it was a dream.
Chilling. And that call, September 29th, 2021, it kicks off this absolutely bizarre murder investigation down in Houston.
Right, because you have the defendant, Benjamin Elliott, saying, I did it, but then immediately, I didn't mean to.
Exactly. He admits the act, but denies the intent, which is, the whole ball game in a murder trial.
So that's what we're digging into today. We're taking a deep dive, looking at the police reports, the interrogation takes, all that expert testimony from the trial, because this case hinges entirely on this, well, frankly, controversial defense. Parasomnia, violent sleepwalking.
And the central question, really, for the courts and for you listening, that's tough. Can science actually prove that someone could commit such a horrific act, killing his own twin sister Megan, without any criminal intent? Or was this whole sleepwalking thing just a clever story? A way to explain away a murder that otherwise makes no sense?
Let's get into it. So the incident itself. Wednesday morning, September 29th, 2021, Benjamin stabs Megan.
Yeah, and when he calls 911, the transcript shows he's trying CPR, following instructions. He gives his name, says he used his knife, staffs mentions their twin.
And he's saying things like, please, I don't want her to die. There's definite panic there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, the knife itself, it's an interesting detail. An Air Force survival knife.
Right. His dad had given it to him just that day.
Literally hours before. They've been playing a video game, saw a similar knife. Ben mentioned it, and his dad gave him this one. The family apparently was really into camping outdoors gear.
So it wasn't like some hidden weapon. It was just there, accessible.
Exactly. And then you have Benjamin's statement to Detective Munoz.
Which was pretty thin, right? He remembered being online, falling asleep maybe 2:30, 3:30 a.m.
And then blank. Until, as he put it, the feeling of stabbing something.
Just the physical sensation. Then he grabs a pillow, tries to stop the bleeding, and calls 911. That's his whole memory.
Pretty much. But here's where things get ethically complicated. The police interrogation.
Tell me about that, because I read they didn't tell him Megan had died.
For 3 hours. 3 hours they withheld that truth. He kept asking, is she okay? And Detective Munoz kept saying, she is okay.
Wow. Why? Just to keep him talking?
That's the rationale. Standard technique, they say. Keep him calm, get him talking about the relationship, trying to find any hint of conflict, of motive.
And his parents were kept in the dark, too, initially.
Yes. It's a tactic designed to isolate and extract information. But think about it. A 17-year-old, confused, possibly in shock.
And being actively misled about his sister's life or death, that feels wrong.
It raises huge questions. But the irony is, what did they find after all that questioning?
Nothing, right? That's what all the sources say. No motive.
Zero. Family, friends, even the investigators, everyone agreed. No rivalry. They were very, very close.
And Megan had autism, and Benjamin was seen as her protector.
Exactly. Took pride in it. So this complete vacuum where a motive should be, that became the defense's cornerstone.
Which leads us straight to parasomnia. Why did the lawyers immediately jump to sleepwalking?
Well, it wasn't just a lack of motive. It was Benjamin himself from the very first moment saying it felt like a dream, that he had little memory.
So those specific phrases flagged something for the defense attorneys.
Right. Wes Rucker and Carrie Hart heard that and thought, this sounds less like a cover-up, more like dissociation, like he wasn't truly present. That led them to Dr. Gerald Simmons.
A neurologist and sleep expert.
And he specializes in these kinds of disorders.
So just quickly, what is parasomnia technically?
Basically, it's an umbrella term for weird stuff happening during sleep, movements, behaviors, even emotions or perceptions. We're talking specifically non-REM parasomnia here.
Meaning deep sleep, not dreaming sleep.
Exactly. Your body's mostly asleep, but the motor parts of the brain kind of wake up and start doing things without conscious awareness.
Okay. So what evidence did Dr. Simmons find to back this up for Benjamin?
It was layered. First, family history. It turns out Benjamin had sleepwalked before. Minor stuff found eating a donut, totally confused. Another time, his sister found him just standing by her door, disoriented.
Okay, so not violent, but definitely a history.
Right. And more significantly, his mom's side of the family had documented non-REM parasomnias. An uncle, an aunt. Think walking out into thunderstorms asleep. There's a strong genetic link.
Genetics is one piece. What else?
The sleep studies were crucial. They found two key things. One, Benjamin had obstructive sleep apnea.
Which can mess up your sleep cycles, right?
Big time. It fragments sleep, and that's a known trigger for parasomnia episodes. Like, it jolts the brain just enough.
Okay, trigger identified. What was the second thing?
This was the big one, neurologically speaking.
Yeah.
His brain waves showed he hit non-REM slow-wave sleep, that really deep, non-dreaming stage, incredibly fast.
That fast.
Just 11 minutes after lights out. Most people take, what, 45 minutes? Maybe 90?
11 minutes, that's really fast.
Yeah, extremely fast. It indicates severe sleep pressure, which massively increases the odds of something like sleepwalking occurring.
And timing-wise, his phone activity stopped around 4:16 a.m. 911 call was 24 minutes later. So that 11-minute deep sleep onset makes a parasomnia episode totally possible within that window.
That's exactly what Dr. Simmons argued. He basically said, look, Ben killed his sister, yes, but I believe it was involuntary, part of a parasomnia.
But the defense needed to show this wasn't just some fringe theory.
Right. They needed legal precedent. So they pointed to cases the courts had accepted sleepwalking defenses in.
Like that Kenneth Parks case in Canada. Drove miles, killed his mother-in-law, all asleep.
Exactly, 1987. And Joseph Mitchell, 2010, strangled his young son. Both acquitted. The argument was automatism acting without consciousness.
Even with complex actions like driving?
Yes. The defense argued the neurological state trumped the complexity of the action. They wanted the jury to see Benjamin the same way. Horrific action, but zero intent. Legally unconscious.
But the prosecution wasn't having it. They brought their own expert, Dr. Mark Pressman.
Correct. A sleep consultant, psychologist.
Right.
And his conclusion was firm. Benjamin was not sleepwalking.
Did Pressman interview Benjamin?
No, he didn't. He based his opinion on the case files, the evidence, the interviews done by others, a key difference in approach.
So what was Pressman's main argument against sleepwalking?
He really focused on the complexity of what Benjamin did. Pressman argued sleepwalker aggression is usually simple, reflexive, like hitting or kicking.
Right.
But unsheathing that specific knife, that takes multiple steps, fine motor skills.
Yeah.
Pressman said that requires a level of executive function simply not available in deep non-REM sleep. It suggested awareness.
So flailing around, maybe, but getting that knife out, that specific action, too deliberate.
That was the core of Pressman's argument. He also pointed to Benjamin's memory fragments.
The feeling of stabbing something.
Yeah. Pressman argued any memory, even pockets, isn't typical for these violent parasomnia cases, which usually involve total amnesia.
How did Dr. Simmons, the defense expert, respond to that point about memory?
Simmons framed it as honesty. He suggested Benjamin was starting to wake up at the moment of impact, hence the fragmentary sensory memory. He argued if Benjamin was lying, claiming total blackout would be easier. Recalling that tiny bit showed candor, not consciousness.
Interesting, Karen. So beyond the medical debate, the prosecution really hammered the physical evidence, right?
Absolutely. The autopsy showed 2 stab wounds. One was 4 inches deep, severed the carotid artery, very lethal.
And the pillow, that Benjamin said he used it to stop the bleeding.
But the prosecution, specifically Prosecutor Long, suggested otherwise. She argued the lack of blood spatter on the walls meant the pillow was used before or during the stabbing, maybe to cover Megan's face or muffle screams, implying intent, concealment.
They also really dissected his behavior after the incident, his calmness during the interrogation.
They painted it as unnatural, discussing SAT scores, college plans.
Mm.
It seemed too composed for someone who just accidentally killed his sister in a confused state.
And using the phrase, the crime scene, when asked about his phone.
Yeah, they jumped on that. It sounded like police jargon, like he was trying to manage the situation, not like a distraught kid.
Even the whispering on the 911 call was spun negatively.
Prosecutor Kutani suggested he was whispering deliberately, trying to hide the reality from his parents sleeping nearby. Calculation, not shock.
So going into the trial, the prosecution had the physical act, the weapon, the demeanor arguments, but they admitted the motive issue was their biggest hurdle.
Huge hurdle. They could show what happened, but not why. And that lack of why really bothered them.
Which maybe explains that controversial closing argument from Prosecutor Long.
Oh, absolutely. It was incredibly dramatic. She directly accused the family of a cover-up. And then that line, "There was not one person here for Megan," implying everyone in court was siding with the killer.
Which the family called horrible lying. They felt they were there for Megan, seeking the truth of what happened.
It was a very tense moment. So, despite everything, the science, the precedents, the lack of motive, Benjamin turned down a plea deal. 30 years.
He rejected it, believing he was innocent.
Yes. So it went to the jury, and apparently several jurors had some personal connection to sleepwalking.
You'd think that might help the defense.
You would. But after just 4 hours, they came back unanimous, guilty of murder.
Wow. Just like that.
Just like that. But then the sentencing added another layer of complexity.
How so?
Prosecution wanted 40 years, the judge gave him 15. And a big reason for that leniency, a note from one of the jurors asking for it.
Wait, a juror found him guilty of murder but asked for leniency.
Exactly. Which Benjamin himself found completely illogical.
Yeah, I remember reading his quote, something like, "If you think I did that, why show mercy?"
Precisely. If they believe the prosecution's narrative of a conscious, deliberate act, why not the maximum sentence? It suggests maybe some doubt lingered, even with the guilty verdict.
So now he's serving that 15-year sentence, still saying it was a miscarriage of justice.
Maintaining his innocence. He explains his calmness during interrogation, not as calculation, but as almost avoidance, trying to steer the conversation away because facing the reality was too much.
This case really crystallizes the problem, doesn't it? You have hard physical evidence, a death, wounds, a weapon, a confession to the act, clashing directly with complex medical evidence suggesting a complete lack of intent.
It's a massive challenge for the legal system. How do you weigh tangible, visible harm against the invisible workings of the brain during sleep, especially when there's no traditional why?
Right. The jury looked at those 2 stab wounds, heard about unsheathing the knife, and seemed to decide that the complexity of the action outweighed the possibility of it being unconscious.
It's a profound tragedy layered on tragedy.
Right.
The family loses Megan and then loses Benjamin to prison for her death under circumstances the defense maintains were entirely involuntary.
So we've seen the science can strongly suggest violent parasomnia is possible, but the courts, the jury, they have to look at the physical reality.
And decide on intent, that legal standard.
It leaves you wondering, doesn't it? How much does the absence of a clear motive really count when the physical evidence is so stark? What level of scientific proof would ever be enough to definitively say, yes, he did it, but he wasn't there? That's the unsettling question at the heart of cases like this.